This is the recap for April 3rd and then top 5 names for tomorrow, April 4th. I want to begin by talking about SPY. So the S&P 500, like we mentioned yesterday, hit that 20 EMA. Today I was just looking as a bull, someone that wants to take breakout trades. I was looking for a bounce off of that 20 EMA, or at the very least, not the market not moving below it, in which it technically did. Towards the end of the day, the market did pull back a little bit. However, throughout most of the day, it was up 0.3%. Did not move lower. Things are still in trend. We do have to continue to have some caution about the market. However, things are still okay for breakouts at the moment. As we mentioned, the 20 EMA has been a very, very important level for the year-to-date rally on the market. So again, we're going to continue to monitor that. The recap of today, I traded CDRO. So I entered CDRO. I'd been watching this one for quite a while. The setup was amazing. And while this thing has very low volume, it's all relative and wasn't the most liquid of names. However, today it received a nice breakout. And I must mention, beautiful rise into this consolidation, surfing the moving averages pretty much the entire way up. And then this consolidation is a beautiful example of a high tight flag. Breakout came today with a big surge in volume. Traded it basically, I think, in the first hour of the day when it matched the average volume. So, and then it continued higher. It was as high as $8, pulled back end of day, kind of with the S&P 500. Finished up 9.12%. So again, this was a good move, and I'm looking for this thing to continue higher, riding the moving averages. I'd also like to talk about TLRY. The marijuana stocks have performed very well recently, and this is obviously one of the leaders in that sector, or I should say that industry. So I entered TLRY at about 210, I believe, on this day right here, and it's continued to ride higher with the moving averages, and we had nice consolidation over the last couple of days. I was expecting some kind of a breakout soon, and which had occurred today. So an 18% move, currently up about 40% on this position, continuing to ride it higher. Again, we do have earnings in a few days on this one, so that has kind of dictated the way I manage this position. I've been kind of trimming throughout this entire rally. Still holding, however, I do not really want to hold anything going into earnings. And now let's get into tomorrow's top 5. ACMR was on yesterday's top 5. It's here again. Today it attempted to break out, but couldn't really pick up enough momentum. Volume did not really increase, pretty much in trend, which is to the downside. So again, this really hasn't changed too much. It did try to break out, but it really, like I said, couldn't gain any momentum. So this is going to be on watch tomorrow, as it was yesterday. SMCI is not the most perfect setup. However, I definitely think this is one to watch. First of all, it's a market leader. We look for the sectors that have been leading the market, and the semiconductors have obviously been probably the primary leader this year. So SMCI has had a very, very nice rally, surfing most of the way up. And I was looking for a little bit of a cool down on the semis, and which we got here. Last couple weeks, it's really been just consolidating and setting up. I say what we have right now looks pretty good. We do have a higher low, lower highs. The volume has declined significantly. Tight with the moving averages. The ADR is very good. So this has a lot of the key components that I look for, and it's definitely one to keep an eye on. HUIA was a great setup yesterday. It's still a great setup going into tomorrow. Tried to break out as well. In the first 10 minutes, it had a pretty strong move. However, it faded quickly after that and did not really gain any momentum after like the first few minutes of the day. The volume did actually close and technically, break outside of its, slide. However, I'm not going to pay too much attention to that. It didn't break out, and I'm still watching this as closely as I would have last night. As long as this setup remains intact, I'm definitely interested in this name. Possibly my favorite setup going into tomorrow is VERI, VERI. So we bought on the breakout initially here, and then the next day it had a nasty pullback. In hindsight, it was a mistake to sell. I sold for a small gain. I didn't want to be in this one. It had a really nasty pullback intraday. Ended up recovering, but I don't want to talk too much about it. It was very disappointing. Get it? Very. But anyway, so now it's consolidated back into what we have here. It's setting up for the next leg higher. It tried to break out today. However, I wouldn't really constitute that as a breakout. Tomorrow, if it's up with good volume, this is probably top of my agenda in terms of trades to take. So it looks really good, and I will be watching this one very closely, especially on the open, seeing how much volume comes into it. KRYS, the setup did not really change at all, so there's no reason to remove it from the top watch. It's as good as it was yesterday. And yeah, I mean, this is like we spoke about yesterday. It's a very good setup. The stock is growing. We're seeing an increase in net income. Things look good. So yeah, that's KRYS. And that concludes the list. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you in the Discord, which is link in bio, guys. Join the community. And yeah, have a great night.